working? Do you see the presentation?
Yes, we can see.
Okay, nice. Namaste and welcome to Insure Yourself and Family Wisely. In the preparation of this presentation, I've read that smart people always start with a good quote in the beginning. So here it is to make you think that I'm smart too. It's often more productive to think about money for one day than to work for it a whole life. This is roughly translated from a German journalist, Heinz Brestel, and I hope this hour, which we will spend together now, will not is for your whole life, but will help you in the near future to understand the German social system and to get to know some things about German insurances. But who am I? Who's talking to you? I am Julian Krausch. I am born and based here in Braunschweig and work here in the surrounding cities like Hannover, Wolfsburg, Wolfenbüttel, Salzgitter, and so on. I am 36 years now and work as an independent financial advisor. My qualifications are I'm a Versicherungsfachmann, which means I know things about Versicherung, which is insurances, and I'm a Finanzanlagenfachmann, which means I know some things about how to get more out of your money. And I'm a TEKIS member. I work for TEKIS since 2010, and in the first 7 years I was training and leading new business partners, and 3 years ago I changed a bit and became an expert for company pension schemes and support all the business partners here around Braunschweig with everything around company business pension schemes. My client base is more than 500 private customers here, and I advise more than 30 companies here in Braunschweig. And who is TEKIS? The logo which you see in the right top corner, and the company I work for. It's a company who has more than 30 years of experience in finance advisory, and we have more than 800,000 customers in Germany. I work together with around about 5,000 business partners who are taking care of our customer needs and wants, and we are represented nationwide with around 200 branches, and we have a service center in Hanover where we get support of around about 350 employees who are who support us with IT, paper, some legal things. We have some lawyers there who support us. And maybe you think now, why have I never heard of TEKIS? And they are so big. It's because we don't do any commercials. We built our customer base over the last 30 years just by recommendation of happy customers. And this is why I am here today, because I got the first one was Rubesh. I don't know if he is here. He was the first one of you Indians which I advised in insurance things, and then he advised me to he recommended me to Bahul, and yeah, now I'm here with you. And these are the insurance companies we mainly work together with. These are the companies we work now, and this can change and do change over time. So there are some companies we haven't worked like 3 years before, and here are some companies we will not work in 3 years, because we always pick the best ones, and if one company isn't doing a good job, yeah, we will change them. And it's the same thing for our investment partners. So we work with the big ones like iShares or BlackRock or Luxor or DWS, which is the investment company of the Deutsche Bank. But we too have some small business boutiques who are very good in doing a job as a smaller company and are like the gold standard in these small niches. And this is how I or we as a company support you as a company, as a customer. Every business partner of Tekes is kind of a normal doctor. So if you come to me and have some normal problems, I can help you with that. But if you go to a doctor and have problems with your teeth, he will send you to the dentist. Or if you have some problems with your heart, he will send you to the heart surgeon. And with us, it's the same. You always have me as your business partner you can talk to, and I consult some specialists. For example, if you want to buy a house, we have a specialist who is just doing the financing of houses. Or for example, the second part is a BAV specialist. This is what I am. BAV is betriebliche Altersvorsorge, which means company retirement plans, and I support all my colleagues with this. On the lower end, you see a normal life plan. So you start to work, you get a promotion, you start a family, you buy a house, later you inherit money, and hopefully you retire one day. And this is how my plan is to support you in your life. We all know your life will never be such a straight line. It will always be ups and downs, and a good finance plan has to work with it and go up and down with you. And it would be nice if you could now write in the chat how many of you plan to retire here in Germany, or how many of you plan to retire in India, for example. This depends how deep I dig into some topics later in this presentation. And yeah, maybe if Bagu will have a good percentage, how many roughly plan to retire here or roughly plan to retire in India, he can tell it to me, and I will go on with his presentation until he tells me.
Sure, Julian.
Yeah, thanks. So this is the agenda for today. First, I want to talk to you about brutto versus netto versus gross or net income. Second, about the social security system in Germany, then some recommended insurances and how to invest money, which possibilities do you have here in Germany, and the last part, kind of a conclusion of this whole presentation. So first, brutto versus netto. All of you who are working have gotten kind of a payroll where they see their gross income and what happens to the income until it's getting their net income. In Germany, you have to pay taxes, like in, I think, all other countries too. And we have a big social security system where you're paying your part too. So how much do you pay into, for example, if you have a gross income of 4,000 euros per month, how much do you pay into the different systems? So you have to pay Lohnsteuer, which is taxes, like 716 euros per month. Until last year, we had a Solidaritätszuschlag, which is now 0, but I think it will come back later, so I left it in this presentation. Third part is Kirchensteuer. This is tax for the church. I don't know if you pay it here in Germany, so I left it at 0 euros. But every one of you has to pay into the health insurance system, 7.3% of the income plus an additional fee. And everyone has to pay into the nursing insurance. If you lose your job, it's kind of job lose insurance, and into the retirement insurance in Germany. So this would leave you with a net income of roughly about 2,500 euros. So if you earn 4,000 euros a month, roughly about 1,500 euros go into the social system and into taxes in Germany. And I don't want to talk about taxes with you. First, because I'm not allowed to. Second, we can change anything with it. You just have to pay them. And I want to talk about the social security system in Germany, where you can change some things and what you get out of it if you pay into it. And your employer even doubles these percentages. So this is what you pay, but your employer pays the same amount too. So this would be an additional 809 euros a month, which your employer pays into the social security system. Do you have any answers, Bagul?
I would say that most of the people who have commented, they are saying that they have planned to retire in India.
Okay.
We have a poll here, so people can use this right corner button and they go to poll, and then we can see there are 4 votes. There are 3 India, 1 Germany. If someone else how to vote, then they can also do that. And there is a question and answer as well. So please ask questions there, not in chat. Thank you.
Yeah. There is a symbol like triangle and circle and square like symbol on the right side. You can go there and you can type the question and vote.
Yeah, and then Bagul will tell me, because I don't see anything of the chat, I just have here my presentation.
Yeah.
So let's take a look into the social security system in Germany. It is roughly divided in 5 different paths. It is gesetzliche Unfallversicherung, it's mandatory accident insurance. This is just paid by your employer. It is if something happens to you at work, or on your way to work, or on your way from work at home. If you have an accident, you get money out of it. But it's you cannot choose anything. Your employer has to pay in it. You just get this for free. Second one, Arbeitslosenversicherung, which is unemployment insurance. You have to pay in it. You can't choose anything, and if you play in it for about 1 year and then you lose your job, you will get about 70% of your last income out of the unemployment insurance. Third one is the Pflegeversicherung. It's nursing insurance, and it's kind of a part of the health insurance, where we dig a bit into it later. And the last one is, second but last is the gesetzliche Krankenversicherung. It's a mandatory public health insurance system. And the last one is the public pension insurance. Let's take a look into the public health insurance system in Germany. Who has to be in it? Every employer in Germany has to have a health insurance. This is the only really insurance you must have in Germany. And how much you pay into it depends on your gross income. So 50-50, the employer and employee pays into it. Together they pay 14.6% plus an individual payment amount, which depends on the public health insurance company you're in, and the average is about 1.3%. The maximum payment amount to the gesetzliche Krankenversicherung depends on the Beitragsbemessungsgrenze, which is roughly translated to a social security contribution assessment ceiling. So this is the maximum amount where you pay into the health system. If you earn more than 58,050 euros, you don't pay more into the health insurance system. But if you earn 58,000 and more euros a year, you pay 700 or about 770 euros per month into the health insurance system. And spouses and children under the age of 25 years are free of charges. So your spouse and your children are free of charge. You don't have to pay anything for them. You just have to pay for yourself, and it depends on how much you earn in Germany. But in the future, demographic development will probably lead to higher expenses and lower services. As we can, on the last part is sickness benefits. For example, if you're getting ill, the first 6 weeks, your employer pays you your income. After 6 weeks, your employer stops paying you. And then the health insurance system starts to pay, and they pay about 70–75% of your last income. But they will pay for a maximum amount of 1.5 years. They don't pay you any longer. And if the health insurance company says he's not coming back, he's not ill, he's too ill to come back, they probably will stop paying you before the 1.5 years pass by. Here you see a graph how much the maximum amount of the public health insurance got up over the last 50 years. So the last one is here, 2014 with 710 euros, but these numbers are with the Northern insurance included. So today, 2021, we are at more than 900 euros for the public health insurance and the Northern insurance together. And the gray line is how much of the maximum amount you have to pay, and the yellow line is what you get out of it. So the public health insurance system got a lot of things cut out of it. For example, some operation with your teeth, or if you need glasses, you have now to pay for yourself. In the past, these were included into the public health system. But we have a second health system in Germany, which is the private health insurance. Who is entitled for the private, also private Krankenversicherung or private health insurance system? Employees with a gross income above 64,350 euros per year. So if you earn less and you're employed, you have no possibility to go into the private system. Or you are a civil servant, like politicians or police officers or teachers. It doesn't matter how much they earn, they have the possibility to go into the private Krankenversicherung. Self-employed people, so if you plan to build your own company, you have the possibility to go into the private health insurance system. And students. These are the people who have the possibility to go into the private health insurance system. What are the differences between these two systems? The payment amount. In the public system, you have to pay a percentage of how much you earn. In the private, you have to pay, or how much you have to pay depends on what contract do you have with the insurance company. And this depends on the contract. How much do you want to have in it, and how old are you, and it depends on your health status. If you're younger and you have less illnesses, sicknesses, the amount is lower, and how older you are, you have to pay more for it. The family is in the public health insurance system free of charge. In the private, you have to pay for your wife or your husband and for your children if they don't work. If your wife works, they can go, for example, if they don't earn above the Beitragsbemessungsgrenze, they can go into the gesetzliche Krankenversicherung, and you, for example, can go to the private company or switched up. The billing is a big difference in these two systems. In the private system, the doctor gives you a bill, you have to pay the doctor, and you give the bill to the private health insurance company, and they pay you. In the public health insurance system, you don't know what the doctor is billing, and he's not billing exactly for you. Very simplified, there's a big pool of all the public health insurance companies, and they pay all the doctors in Germany for what they have, what costs they had in the last years. And the doctors get money out of this pool every quarter of the year. So it's often the case that doctors don't get any money from you if you are in the public health system and it is the end of the quarter. This is the reason why doctors like specialists for some segments tell you the next appointment is in the next quarter, because then they just get money out of you. And if you're in the private health insurance, they can bill you twice or a third of the normal amount, and they get the money at every time. So this is the reason why doctors like to have a lot of people out of the private health insurance system and not of the public system, because they get more money and they get it at any time. The difference is a contract. In the private, you have a contract with the company where you have written what's in it and what not. In the public health insurance system, if the politicians decide there are some cuts, then there are some cuts, and you don't get money for things which were paid in the past. And the last big difference is health conditions. If you are able to go to the private health insurance, they will check your health conditions. And if you are in bad health conditions, they will not insure you. The public health insurance system must insure you no matter how ill you are. So, are there any questions regarding the public health insurance system? Have you got some?
Yes, Julian. I think it's a quite famous question. Everybody will be interested to know. The question is, can we also save money by taking private health insurance when one has brutto more than 65,000 euro per year?
The short answer is it depends. But normally you can save some money because the private insurance company is less expensive than the public. And there's always how I say it. If you retire in Germany, the private insurance company can be more expensive when you're like 70 or 80 years old at one point. But if you plan to retire in India, it's even more useful to go into the private system. But you have to calculate it because of your family situation. Do you have a wife? Do you have a husband? Do you have kids? How many kids do you have? What contract do you like to have? So roughly say, yeah, you can save money, but it depends. Is this okay?
I would say it should be enough. And the next question would be, if someone has private health insurance, then can he or she shift to public health insurance after that?
The short answer is it depends. If you go under this line of income, you must switch back to the public health insurance system. If you are, or if you decide to go to the private, normally it's a decision for life, but there are possibilities to go back to the public health insurance systems, but normally people don't do that. And just people who have not a good advisor or have not a good private health insurance contract do that. In most of the normal scenarios, the people decide for the private and stay in the private for the rest of their lives.
Okay. And one last question is, after retirement, do we have to buy a separate health insurance, and how much would be the premium?
If you are in the, if you stay in Germany and you always stay in the public health insurance system, you still have to pay from your retirement out of the public pension insurance amount to the health insurance. If you're in the private system, you have to pay the amount which your private contract costs at that point. So in Germany, you always have to pay into the insurance system at any point.
I have one more question.
Yeah.
Yeah. If somebody plans to stay here in Germany, like most of the people in this group, they are mostly from India, and they plan to stay here in Germany for the duration of, let's say, between 5 to 15 years.
Yeah.
And on an average, let's consider that it is 10 years.
Yeah.
Then, as an advisor, what would be the optimal way to go in terms of insurance? Will it be private insurance, or will it be to stick with public insurance for those who earn more than 65,000, obviously?
For those who own more and have a good health condition, I would recommend to go into the private one. But it always depends on their situation. Roughly, I would say my suggestions would be to go into the private one, and I could recommend you a good colleague of mine. I personally don't do any private health insurances because we have a specialist for it, and I recommend him, and he would advise you on these things if you want to. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, then I go on. Okay.
Yes, Julian, you can.
Okay. So let's take a look into the pension insurance. Every employee in Germany has to pay in it. The payment amount depends on gross income. It's about the same like the health insurance system. You and your employer pay 9.3%. So together, 18.6% of your income is paid into the pension insurance. There is a Beitragsbemessungsgrenze, Social Security contribution assessment ceiling, so a maximum amount of it for the pension insurance 2, which is at 85,200 euros. What are the services of the pension insurance? First, you get an annuity because of reduced employability. We take a look a bit later. Second one, annuity because of age. So if you are older than 67 years, you get an annuity out of it. And the last one, annuity because of death. So if you die, your wife and your children get money out of it. So what is reduced employability? I translated roughly the definition from the German law text, and I hope you understand what it says. In Germany, reduced employability is volle or teilweise Erwerbsminderung. The insured person are fully or partially incapacitated if, due to illness or disability, they are unable to work for at least 3 or 6 hours a day under the usual conditions of the general labor market for foreseeable future. What does this mean? You get the volle Erwerbsminderungsrente, which is a fully reduced employability if you are not able to work for a maximum of 3 hours a day in any job. So it's the Rentenversicherung is not looking, can you work in your job? They just look at your health conditions and say, can he or she work with it in any job in Germany? And they are not looking for a job for you. You just look at your health conditions, and if a doctor says, yep, you can work 4 hours with it, you don't get the fully. If you can work 3 to 6 hours in any job, you get half of it. And you just get money out of it after 5 years. In the first 5 years you pay into it, you don't have, you can't claim anything. After 5 years, this is very simplified and it depends how much you earned, how your earnings developed, but in Germany we say Pi mal Daumen. Pi mal Daumen, I don't know what's in English, but simplified it's if you get the volle Erwerbsminderungsrente, it is half of your net income. And if you get the half, die halbe Erwerbsminderungsrente, it's about 1/4 of your net income. So it's, in most cases, it is not enough, and we look later into it, what I recommend for you to do, because if something happened, you have an accident or you get ill, this won't be enough to live here. So the second part is the pension insurance, which is if you retire in Germany. I think you will not know this man. This is Norbert Blüm. He was a work minister in Germany in 1984, and he claimed, eins ist sicher, die Rente. So he said the German pension insurance is the safest thing. 30 years later, he says, yeah, maybe it's safe, but the height of it is not guaranteed. And this is because of our demographic, because of our demographics. So the German, die Deutsche Rentenversicherung is more than 100 years old. And when it was developed, our the people who live in Germany and the demographics were roughly like a pyramid, as you see in the top left corner. Very less people who are old and a lot of young people. If we go 50 years further to the 1960s on the right top, you see there are two hard cuts in our demographics. These were the First and the Second World War, where no children were born. If we look at it now, now it's about 2015. Now we have 2021, but it's roughly the same. You see a cut at the people who are roughly 60 years old. These are the generation after World War II. There was a cut, and then you see that our demographics is getting even smaller for the people around 40 years old. So 40 years in the past, 1970s, the people in Germany begin to shrink. We are not getting so much babies, so our the amount of people in Germany began to shrink. And if we take a look into the future, the perfect pyramid is beginning to be kind of an Ohren or Dönerspieß in Germany, which leads to a lot of problems for the health system and for the pension system in Germany, because you pay into the pension system, but this money is not for you. This money is for the people who are retired, like my grandparents, for example. So you pay from your income into the pension system, and my grandparents get money out of it. This works as long as the people don't get too old. So the people are getting older and they're taking money out of it for a longer period. And 50 years ago, there were 5 to 6 people. The blue pins are people who work, the black pins are people who are retired. So 50 years ago, there were 5.5 people who paid one retired person. If we take a look at it now, there's roughly about 3 people who pay one retired person. And we look into the future, there's 1 person who has to pay 1 retired person. And there you can see it's not working. There are just 3 ways. First way, hard cuts to the retirement. Second, the people who work has to pay a lot more into it. Or the most probable way, the people has to work longer. So if they go into retirement later, they pay longer into it and they take money out of it for a shorter period of time. And a lot of people are really, they don't know how the pension system in Germany works. So you are not alone. Almost all Germans have no idea too. After 5 years in Germany, you get your first Rentenbescheid. This is the letter where the Rentenversicherung says how much you get out of it. And there is a number, and people read this number and think, oh, it's nice. But if I explain to them what this number means, for example, if you retire, you still have to pay taxes and you have to pay health insurance. So this is a gross number, not a net number. And on the back of this letter, there's a part about inflation, because the German retirement system is not, if we have an inflation, it's not getting more. So this is the part. Then I have a part about it. I think it's getting a bit more clear. The general formula for calculating your pension, simplified, is the sum of your personal Entgeltpunkte. What your personal Entgeltpunkt is, we see now, times the aktuelle Rentenwert is what you get out of the pension. Der aktuelle Rentenwert is 34 euros. You multiply it with your personal gross income divided through the average gross income of everyone in Germany. This is in 2021 41,000 euros. So if you earn exactly 41,000 euros, you get 1 point. And you get it for every year you work in Germany. For example, you work in Germany 40 years, you get and earn exactly as much as the average German person. You get 40 points times the aktuelle Rentenwert. 40 times 34, it's about 1,200 euros gross pension. If you earn twice as much, it's twice as much. But if you calculate, but you have to take inflation rate into account and taxes and social system as a pensioner. So if your income raises and the average income of every German raises too, you don't get more money out of it. The only thing which can really change is the aktuelle Rentenwert. This is the formula for the aktuelle Rentenwert, but believe me, it will not change a lot. It will change about 0.5% every year. So the Deutsche Rentenversicherung, oh, it's not translated, so this is a net income today. How much pension will you get out of the pension system? In the past, oh, this graphic is not good, but I hope you see, here's about 50% on the left in 1980 on the left, and 1918, this is the most right blue part, it's about 40%. So it decreased a lot in the past 30, 40 years, and simplified, if you look into your future and plan to retire in Germany, the net income, the pension insurance will be about 1/3 of what your last income was when you worked in Germany. So your last income, you will get 1/3 of it out of the German pension system. And even here in Braunschweig, which is a very rich part because of Volkswagen here in Germany, there are about 23,000 people here in Braunschweig who cannot live with their with a German pension system. And you can decide if you want to retire in German, how it will look like. So, do you have any questions? Then I will take a small break.
Up to now, actually, no questions regarding the pension, but about the poll which I've asked regarding retiring in India or in Germany, majority of the people are saying that they would like to retire in India.
Yeah, if they want to retire in India and you paid money into the German social system for the pension, you can get money out of it. Everything you paid in it, you can get out of it, but you have to talk to the Rentenversicherung that you leave Germany and you will leave forever. I can support you with this if you plan to do so. Okay?
One question.
Yeah.
I heard that if we pay some social security and we want to get it back when we leave Germany permanently, then there is a time limit of 5 years. So if you are leaving Germany within 5 years, when you arrive here, then you can get it back. If you leave after 5 years, then it's not possible. Is that true? Or it doesn't matter?
I think it is true, but I'm not 100% sure. I write it down and I tell you tomorrow if this is true. But I think there is a period where you have to claim your money, and if you don't claim it, it's gone. Yeah, but I don't know if this period is exactly 5 years. I'm not sure with it.
So, the question is, after leaving Germany, we have to claim the money within 5 years, or if I'm living in Germany for 6 years and I paid the social security, and then it is not possible to get this money back. So, yeah, both the things I would like to clarify.
No, so you have to pay in it for more than 5 years to claim anything. So if you, I think if you pay in it for like 2 years, you don't get anything out of it. But if you pay in it for longer than 5 years, then you can claim it. But after you left Germany, there's a period of time where you have to claim your money that you get it. But I don't know if this period is 5 years too.
And do we get all of the money back that we paid, or only a portion of it?
It depends. It depends on where you leave. If you leave to India, I think there's some kind of, I don't know the English word, Abschlag. So there's an amount which you don't get out of it. How much it exactly is, you have to ask the pension system, and they can calculate it for you. But I can support you by going to the German pension system. Yeah, if you have any questions, because it's not easy.
Okay, thank you. And what is the time period? So you just explained that we get this money only back when we are leaving Germany permanently. So let's say I worked here for 10 years. I want to go back next year. So I contact you, you get me my money back, which means Germany now has a record that I have.
But I can support you how
Yeah.
you could get your money back.
Yes, sure. It's hypothetical situation. So let's say I got my money and Germany now has a record that I moved back to India permanently. Now, maybe 5 or 10 years down the lane in India, I decide to come back. Is it possible for me to come back, or it's a no-go?
Yeah. You sure can come back to Germany. Yeah.
So there are no criminal possibilities? No, because I've heard from a lot of other people. That's why I was confused. But I can always come back.
In my understanding, you can come back. I don't know why you can't come back, or why you have a criminal record for it, but I'll write it down and ask it. I've never heard of it. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, thanks.
Okay, let's go to the part of the recommended insurances. Okay?
Yes, Julian, we can move forward.
Okay. So, the first one is a Haftpflichtversicherung or liability insurance. Like every German has a liability insurance, because it can happen very easily. For example, some small damages, you help someone when he's moving houses and you drop his television, someone has to pay it. Therefore, you have a liability insurance. So, for example, the television, you could possibly be paid. But what happens if you, for example, cross a road and a car has to change direction and crashes into another car and someone is hurt? Therefore, you have a liability insurance which then pays for the damage which happened, even for the person damage, and even if the person is can't work anymore, you have to pay for it. And there are some important components, partially, which are important to have in a liability insurance. For example, the height of the coverage. Or, for example, key loss. If you lose your keys, the liability insurance pays for the new locks in the door, for example. Or, for example, borrowed and rented items. This is not a normal part in it. And taught disabled children, which are children under the age of 6, they are normally not in the liability insurance, but a lot of insurances have them in there. And there are always cheap and cheaper and cheaper insurances in Germany. But we have like two sayings here in Germany. One is, kaufst du billig, kaufst du zweimal, which is roughly translated, if you buy cheap, you buy twice. And the second one is, was nichts kostet, ist auch nichts wert. So what has no cost has no worth. So it's not important with all insurances that it's the cheapest price. It's always price performance or price effectiveness which you have in your insurances. And we work, or I work together with like 30 or 40 different companies, and it depends on which company fits the best for you and your needs. The second one is the Hausratversicherung, home content insurance. This is, for example, if you cut off the roof of your house or your apartment and you switch it upside down. Everything what fell out of it, furniture, clothes, electronics, and everything, this is covered in a Hausratversicherung. And this is insured against theft, fire, and water. You can put some additional components in it, like flood or storm or hail or some other elemental damage, and bike theft, for example, or you can have a glass insurance in it. This depends on how your home looks like and what you want to have insured. But let's go back to the liability insurance. A good liability insurance for a single person costs about 50 euros a year, and a good household insurance or home content insurance it depends on how big your apartment or your house is, but it's between 30 and 100 euros per year. And yeah, if you want to have bike theft in it and so on. So out of my clients, there are like 99% of my clients have who live in their own apartment or house have a liability insurance and a household insurance. Third one is a Wohngebäudeversicherung. It's a building insurance. This is not for the things which are in your apartment or your house, but the house as itself. And this is insured against fire, flames, smoke, explosions, flood, fallen trees, and yeah, everything what could happen to your own house, or solar systems, or what you have on it. If you own a house, you need it. Like 99% or maybe 100% of my clients who own an own apartment or an own house do have a Wohngebäudeversicherung. And this costs about roughly, I would say, 150 to 500 euros a year, depends on how big your house is and yeah, kind of how good it is built and what you want to have insured in it. Next one is a legal insurance, Rechtsschutzversicherung. You need it if you go to court, or you need a lawyer, or you need any legal support. There are 4 different parts in it. It's a private legal insurance, a professional legal insurance. So if you have any disagreement at your workplace or with your employee, you need this professional legal insurance part. Or a renter's legal insurance, so it's if you have any dispute with your landlord or with your neighbors, you need this renter's house apartment part. In Germany, it's Haus und Wohn. And the third one is traffic legal insurance, which is everything which is with your car. So if you have any dispute with authorities, or for example, you get some tickets or something like that and you need a lawyer, you can use this part, and this insurance will pay your lawyer. I think around about 50% of my customers do have legal insurance. Some people don't have it because they say one of my good friends or my sister or my brother or whoever is a lawyer, and they will help me for free, so I don't need a legal insurance. But a lot of people call me, and this is an important part, it's a waiting period. They call me and say, Julian, I need a legal insurance. And I ask them what happened. Then they tell me the case, and I say, okay, I can't help you with it. Because you normally have a waiting period between 3 and 9 months. It depends on the insurance company, and it depends on the part, where the company won't help you. They will just help you after this waiting period. So you, because the companies are not stupid, because no one would sign a contract for legal insurance if you could sign it at the exact moment where you need them. Next one is car insurance. Car insurance has 3 different parts. And this is mandatory insurance in Germany up to the, in addition of the health insurance, you must, if you have a car, you must have a Haftpflicht, a liability insurance for your car. But this will just pay the car which you hit. It will not pay your own car. So the Haftpflichtversicherung is just for other cars. Then you have the Teilkasko. This is roughly translated to partly insurance. This is if your car gets stolen, or if there's fire or hail or something which damages your car, or you have an accident with wildlife. You hit a deer or a boar, for example. Then the Teilkasko will pay for the damage on your car. And then there's a Vollkasko. It's a fully insurance. That will pay for damage which you do on your own car, and it builds up. If you have a Vollkasko, you must have a Teilkasko and you must have a Haftpflicht. If you have a Teilkasko, you must have a Haftpflicht. So, but you can have a Haftpflicht alone or a Haftpflicht and a Teilkasko alone. And the more you insure, the more expensive, it gets. And my recommendation for you, if you have a car which costs like 100, 200, 500 euros, you just need a Haftpflichtversicherung, because if you crash your car, you buy a new one. But if you have a car which costs about, I don't know, 10,000, 20,000, 50,000 euros, my recommendation would be to have a Vollkaskoversicherung, because if you cause an accident, and you don't have a Vollkaskoversicherung, no one will pay for your car. And I think it's very important. The next one is life insurance or Risikolebensversicherung. This is for you if you die, and then your spouse or your children get money out of it. Who needs it? I think everyone who has children or has a loan or credit loan for the house, for example, needs life insurance. Because if you die, then the people you love could go on with their lives and don't care about how some money, you don't care about money, because they get money out of the life insurance. And the last one is the Berufsunfähigkeitsversicherung or disability insurance. There are many different disability insurances in Germany and how they work. But roughly it is that the German social security system is not fully covering your income. As we have seen before, even if you get the full Erwerbsminderungsrente, it's just about half of your income. So, and the private disability insurance covers your exact same job which you are doing. So, for example, if you have an accident and can, for example, or are not able to work for 2 or 3 years, this disability insurance will pay you so you keep on living here in Germany. And the price of it depends on how much you want to insure, how long it has to you want to work with it, and how old you are. If you are younger, it's cheaper. If you are older, it's more expensive. And normally, if you are younger, your health conditions are much better than they are if you are getting older. So my recommendation, if you want to do it, and I would recommend to do it if you are in good health conditions and have a family, to sign a contract about the Berufsunfähigkeitsversicherung. Yeah. And even if you go back to India and start working in India, you can still keep this disability insurance, and they will pay money to India if you lose your job there because of health conditions. So, any questions regarding insurances?
Yes, Julian, we do have a few questions here.
Yeah.
So, first question is regarding the Hausratversicherung. Is
Yeah.
it applicable only for the person who is owner, or also for the one who is renting the apartment?
If you rent an apartment, you just need to insure the interior of your apartment. You don't need a Wohngebäudeversicherung. So wait. So if you rent an apartment, you just need the home content insurance and not the building insurance. But if you own a house or apartment, you need both. Or you don't need, but I would recommend to you to have both.
Okay. So I think it will answer Vaishali's question. I think so.
Yeah.
Yep.
And okay. Next question is regarding the Privathaftpflicht liability insurance.
Yeah.
Does the liability insurance cover spouse or kids, or is it to be paid separately for every individual?
No, you can, like all insurances, or like all the first insurances, you can have a single contract, or you can have a family contract. And for example, the liability insurance, roughly for a single person, is about 50 euros. For a family, it's about 75 euros per year. So it's much cheaper to have a family contract than to have two separate single contracts.
Yeah. Okay. I hope Omkar Deshpande is satisfied with the answer. The next question is from Vivek Mishra. Is the damage done on my own also covered in the liability insurance? Key lost by myself is also considered under insurance?
In the liability insurance, if, for example, here's my mobile phone. If I destroy my mobile phone, the liability insurance will not pay for it. But if this is Bagul's mobile phone and I destroy it, the liability insurance will pay for it. So it will not pay for damage you do on your own things.
Okay. The next question is regarding Wohngebäudeversicherung. Should this be done by us, or is it done by the housing committee? I'm talking this for an apartment that an individual owns in building.
If you own an apartment in building, it depends. Sometimes there is some kind of Verein or group. There's a group of people who own an apartment in a building, and they pay an amount into a Wohngebäudeversicherung for the whole building. But sometimes you need a Wohngebäudeversicherung for your apartment. Yeah, it depends. But you can check that or I can check that for you. So if you need it or if you don't need it.
Okay. The next question is, if I hit a person on the road by a car, is full casco is sufficient for paying the person?
No, there you just need the liability part. So the Haftpflicht is if I'm driving with my car and I hit Bagul in his car.
Please don't.
Yeah, I hope so. The Haftpflichtversicherung or liability insurance of the car will pay the damage on Bagul's car. And the Vollkasko will pay the damage on my car. So if I don't have a Vollkasko, they will still pay Bagul, but no one will repair my car. I have to pay it on my own. And if I have a Vollkaskoversicherung, the insurance is paying Bagul's car and my car.
Okay. I hope it
What
answers.
if the person hits another person with a car, not the car, a person? In that case, what happens?
Yeah, it's still the same.
It's the same. Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Excuse me. Is it okay if I can ask a question directly?
Yeah. Okay.
Sure.
Yeah.
Balaji.
I have a question. You were telling one particular point about the Verkehrsrechtsschutz. Is this required only for the people having a car?
I did not understand the question.
Let me repeat.
Yeah.
Is it? Can it take the Verkehrsrechtsschutz? I mean, the legal insurance for the traffic-related stuff. Is it still valid to take it, or it's not required to take it? The reason why I ask is, assume I don't have a Verkehrsrechtsschutz and I'm walking in the road. Some car hits me and the other person is not paying the money, which is called Schmerzengeld. And which legal insurance will help me? Will the private legal insurance support me, or the Verkehrsrechtsschutz will support me here?
Yeah. So in the car insurance, you have a kind of passive legal insurance in it. This means if I try to do an example. So Bagul, I hit you again. And then I do some kind of hit and run. I drive away. So, but Bagul has seen me and reports to the police, Julian hit my car. I say, no, it wasn't me. Then I have a legal insurance in my Haftpflichtversicherung because if I did this, the Haftpflicht had to pay the damage on his car. But I said it wasn't me, so I have kind of legal insurance in the Haftpflicht drin, which defends the claim of the insurance company that they don't have to pay it. But if the legal assistance of Bagul is not in his car insurance, so if you want to have money from someone, you need a legal insurance. And it is not included in the Kfz-Versicherung. Is this clear?
No, my question is still not. I mean, I did not get the right answer here, but let me correct you with the last point alone. I want to have a right answer. I'm talking about I don't own a car. I don't have a car. I'm just walking in a red light or a green light in the traffic signal, and some car hits me and he runs away. And I have a legal insurance, but I have only private work and house, but not the Verkehr.
Yeah, then you don't need the Verkehrs part. This is a private part.
Okay, because it happened in the road, so I was in the assumption that we need a Verkehrsrechtsschutz, because the people say it was in the road and it will not be covered in the private life. The private life covers only the contractual issues and other issues, isn't it?
I would say it is covered in the private one, but I check it, I write it down, and I tell you tomorrow if this is true.
Okay. Yeah. Fine.
But I'm kind of sure that it is included in the private part. That you don't need it. That you don't need the traffic part in it.
Okay, fine. Thank you.
I have one question.
Yeah.
Yeah. Actually, I have two questions. One is regarding the Privatpflicht. So I'm currently living in a rented house, and I have a Privatpflicht by HDI for the family plan. But when I read the terms and conditions, what I understand is the glass breakage. If me or my 2-year-old son breaks the window glass or some glass in the house, it is typically not covered. Is that true? And we have to take an additional insurance cover for glass breakage?
No. Normally, this is a normal liability issue. That the liability insurance will pay for it. But it is not normal that you have a part for borrowed or rented items in it.
Okay.
A lot of insurances have rented items in it, but not all. But for example, if you want to check if you have it in it or not, you can send me the contract and I can tell you it's in it or it's not in it.
Okay, so I should provide you the contract name or the plan, right?
Yeah, for example, you can just tell me it's from the HDI and its name is Haftpflichtversicherung Premium Plus or whatever it's called, and then I can check if it's in it or if it's not in it.
Yeah, okay. I have an HDI family Protect plan with Protect Plus option.
Yeah, you can. I don't know every insurance and everything out of my head. It's easier to write me an email and then I can check it and answer your email.
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
And I have another question. So
Yeah.
this one particular incident that happened with one of the person from Indian community. He bought an house here near Lehre near Braunschweig, I think. And what happened was when he bought the house, and at that time it was very cold, and nobody was living in the house, so the heating was turned off, and then the temperatures went down like -18, and because of that, the water froze in the pipes, and a lot of pipes broke out.
Yeah.
He had purchased the house, but the house insurance was not transferred to him. And he was not sure whether it would be covered by the house insurance because the heating was turned off and ideally it should have been running or the water should have been closed. So is this particular case typically covered in the insurance?
It depends because this is waiver in the event of gross negligence. So normally it is not covered, but a lot of good insurances have gross negligence in it, which means if you do a big failure, because it was a failure of him not to heat the pipes or to heat the pipes, so they still have to pay for it. Also, it was a big failure of him. It depends on the contract he has. It's not a normal part of the Wohngebäudeversicherung.
Okay, thank you. That answers my question.
Okay.
I have one more.
Yeah,
Sorry.
please go ahead, Balaji.
I have one more question. I don't have a legal insurance. Do also Privathaftpflichtversicherung supports me in the legal case if someone sues me?
No.
Okay. Thank you.
I have a question. Last one. Let's assume that one person owns an apartment but does not live there, and he has rented that apartment. What kind of insurance would the owner have so that the apartment is protected?
It depends. Sometimes then you are the landlord if you rent the apartment someone. Sometimes they have building insurance for the apartment, which they need, for example, for themselves or for the whole house.
Right.
And sometimes the landlord has a home content insurance, and sometimes the renter does have it. It's not fixed.
So let's assume that the owner has one Gebäudeversicherung. Apart
Yeah.
from that, the person who has rented has Hausratversicherung. Is there any other Versicherung the owner needs to worry about, or these two covers almost everything? This
These two
question is with
almost-
respect to the owner, not with respect to the person who's rented.
Yeah, these two cover almost everything.
Okay.
Except, for example, some legal issues. If the person who rents the apartment doesn't pay the rent,
Okay.
you probably need a lawyer, and then you need a legal insurance.
But as a owner, if I have Rechtsschutz as a private person, then that should cover this as well, right? Or no?
No, you need the part for the renters or the house apartment part. I don't know what's in English exactly, but you need the house apartment part for if you rent an apartment or if someone rents an apartment of you.
Okay, perfect. Then one more additional is required. Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Okay, Julian. The next question is, does my house rat insurance covers the damage to the furniture by me or my family member?
Yes, but just for is it written here? No. The Hausratversicherung just pays for fire damage or water damage. So if you burn your furniture, they will pay. But if you cut your furniture with a knife, they will not pay.
Okay, I hope this answers Kalkin's question.
What if the TV falls from the stand and breaks? Does it cover, Hausrat covers this or no? No.
No.
Okay.
But if this was a television of a friend of yours or a friend of yours would kind of hit the television, then it would be covered from his liability insurance.
Okay.
Okay.
I have one more question, a small one. If we do some breakage and we have to claim the Haftpflichtversicherung, does it impact your premium for the following year? Like I have to pay next year more amount in the contract because I did the damage, and yeah, is that the case?
It depends. At the car insurance, you will have to pay a higher amount on the next year. On the normal, all the other insurances, you don't have to pay more if they regulate a damage. The cost will be the same. But if an insurance thinks you are not a good customer because you did like 3 or 5 different damages per year, they can kick you out.
Does that impact impact my credibility as a customer if I go for
No.
contract to any other insurance company, let's say?
Yeah, for insurance companies, yes. If an insurance company kicks you out, no other company would like to have you as a customer.
Okay.
So normally, it is better to pay, for example, I don't know how much this costs. It's like about €5. For example, this is Bargul's favorite Tasse. What's Tasse auf English?
Cup.
Cup. Yeah, Bargul's favorite cup, and I destroy it. It's better that I pay him a new cup for €5 than to claim these €5 from the insurance. Because if you claim like 3 or 4 of these small things, the insurance would say, okay, kick him out. We don't want him. The insurances are there for bigger things. For example, if I destroy a television or things like that. And these don't happen so often.
Okay. I have question from my side regarding the Auslandkrankenversicherung. Could you please
Yeah.
also add that?
Yeah. In Germany, you have the health insurance, and it will cover almost everything in Germany. If you have a private health insurance, it will cover all the things which will happen in a foreign country, for example. But if you go to another country and something happens there, you normally need an Auslandskrankenversicherung, which will cost about roughly 10 euros per year, and you can kind of take any you can find online, but I can advise you some. And my recommendation for you, if you are in the public health insurance in Germany, you like to travel, you need an Auslandskrankenversicherung, but it costs about 10 euros per year, and I would recommend one for you, yes.
Okay. And the additional question on this would be like, if something happens to me in Germany, and then I go to India and I treat myself, what will does Auslandkrankenversicherung will help me there?
If you live in Germany and you stay in Germany and you just visit India for holidays, or yeah,
Right.
Yeah, then the Auslandskrankenversicherung will pay in India, yeah.
Yes, but something is already happened. Some disease is already happened to me in Germany, and after that I am traveling to India.
Ah, okay.
In that case,
I don't know.
okay.
I don't know. I have to check it. Before I say something wrong, I rather check it.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you for that.
Yeah, one question from me regarding the health insurance. So I have the public health insurance, and I need to do the root canal for my teeth, or something like that. Does the teeth are covered in the public insurances or health insurances, or do I need to take some another insurance to cover that?
The kids are covered in the public health insurance, but you can, for example, the public health insurance, and if you, for example, your kid gets ill and need to go to the hospital, it is possible that your kid has to go into a room with 6 or 8 other kids at the hospital. And if you don't want that to happen, you can kind of add a private health insurance to your public health insurance for that your kid, for example, has his own room at the hospital. You can add things too, yeah.
I think let me frame my question. It's not for the admission in the hospital, something like that, but regarding the teeth. So if sorry.
Sorry. For teeth, I would like to say like it's a Zahnversicherung. About that, Yogesh is asking Julian.
Yeah, yeah.
Ah, okay. Yeah. Zahnversicherung or teeth insurance or something is a part of the private health insurance, and you can, I would recommend, if you have kids and kids, for example, need some Zahnspange, don't know what's in English, braces.
Mm-hmm.
You can have an insurance for this too, yeah. And this is part of the health insurance system, yeah.
Okay, and what about the root canals? If some in my family, if I need to do root canal for my kid or for myself or for my wife, do I need to have the teeth insurance separately, or?
It depends. It depends on the insurance. It depends on the company, and it depends a bit on the situation. If you Yeah, I think it's easier if you can, if we both discuss this face to face, what is the exactly scenario, and then I can advise you what you should do.
Okay, okay. Thank you, Julian.
I think that was all the questions.
Okay.
And, yeah.
Then we start into the last part. How to invest money. So even if you want to stay in Germany and retire in Germany, or you plan to go back to India, you hopefully you earn a lot of money here in Germany, and now you have no possibility to, or there is a possibility to leave your money just in the bank account, but there are roughly two different ways to invest your money. The first way is to invest your money and it stays money. For example, in Germany, we have the Sparbuch, Tagesgeld, Bausparen, Festgeld, and so on. This is like the normal bank account. It's marked red because you don't get any money if you leave your money in kind of these things. This is the interest rate of Europe for the banks, for example, over the last 20 years, and we are now at 0. And there are times we are a bit negative even. We had negative interest rates here. So the normal products which banks or insurances would like to give to you are in these ranges. So you get like 0.01% interest. Wow. Or, for example, at a Bausparvertrag, I don't know what's in English, and it's a product just in Germany, and a lot of people have it, and I've never seen a good Bausparvertrag ever. The Fox is one of the companies which sells these products. You don't get any money out of it. And even if you have the typical German insurances for retirement, we once had the red line as a Garantiezins, which is the interest rate which is guaranteed. So like 30 years in the past, we had 4% at the guarantee. Now we are at 0.9%. The next year it will go down to 0.5 or even 0.25%. And the blue line is what the insurance company will pay you in addition to the guaranteed interest rate. 30 years ago, it was about 7%. Now, 2021, we are below 2%, what the insurance company will pay you. And you have to ask you one question. Do you want to have, oh, I can't translate it into English, it's hard. You have in German it's the Realzins. It's the difference between how much money you get at the bank and how high the inflation is. In the past, it was like we had like 1 or 2% inflation, and the interest rates were at 5 or 6%. And the difference between it was the Realzins. So if you get 5% in your bank account and you have 2% inflation rate, you get roughly about 3% as Realzins. Now the sides have switched. The inflation rate is higher than the interest rate. So if you leave your money in your bank account or at a typical German insurance for retirement or in a Bausparvertrag, the Realzins is even negative. So what is the alternative? So the conclusion, it's not clever to leave your money in the monetary value. So you have to invest in some assets. What are the typical assets? For example, real estate, so you can buy houses or commodities like gold, or no, precious metals is gold, commodities like whatever, iron or wheat or whatever. There are a lot of commodities which you can buy. You can buy land or you can buy stocks. What do the Germans do with their money? This is the German wealth pie chart. 40% of the German money lays in their normal bank account, and the Germans have an amount of about 7.1 billion euro. It's 7,000 or in English. I have to translate it to English. 7.1 billion is in English
But 7.1 billion euro, you can say in English.
Yeah, but in English, billion is not billion. In German, Milliarde is the English billion.
That's right.
Yeah, so it's.
I think what I'm trying to say is trillion. It's billiard, so it's trillion.
A trillion, okay. So it's like 7.1 trillion euro. So the Germans have a lot of money, but they invest their money wrong. A lot of their money is in the bank account, like 40%. And then we have like around 30%, which is in Versicherungen, which is in insurances, where they don't get any money out of it. And a very small amount is in Aktien, which is stocks, or investment funds. So my job, and this is the reason why I work for Tekes, the company I work for. And if you take a look at the logo in the right top corner, there are two animals. There's a bull and a bear. These are the animals of the stock exchange. The bull is for rising stocks because he attacks from down with the horns up. And the bear is hitting from up to down. So there's a reason why there's always a bull in front of the stock exchanges, because he is for the rising. It's a symbol for the rising stocks. And for example, if I asked you, every one of you has a mobile phone. I don't know if you have an Apple or a Samsung or Huawei or Google or whatever company. These companies build mobile phones not because they are nice. They build these mobile phones because they earn money with it. And every one of you knew that, for example, Apple earns a lot of money with their mobile phones, or Google or Samsung, it's the same, but you pay them. So wouldn't it be nice if you wake up and earn money? And if you take a look at your daily needs, for example, you wake up, don't know if you heard of P&G, it's Procter & Gamble, but if you brush your teeth with Oral-B, for example, or you shave with Gillette razor, Procter & Gamble earns money because Oral-B and Gillette are part of Procter & Gamble. Or the second one, Unilever. If you wash yourself with soap, Dove is a company from Unilever. Or you use deodorant, it's Axe, which is a company of Unilever. Or you buy a suit. It doesn't have to be a suit from Boss, but Boss owns about 70% of all the companies who build the suits around the world. So it doesn't matter from which company the suit is you buy. Boss earns money because they own the company who builds it. And it's the same for Kellogg's, or for example, BMW, or even Nestle. It's Nescafé, L'Oreal, Vittel, so many companies are in there. So if you knew there are companies who earn money by buying things, why not invest in them? And how is this working? You can invest in these companies with, for example, an Aktienfonds. In a normal Aktienfonds, there are between 80 and 120 different companies in it. And you and a lot of other people can invest in it. You can invest in it in a monthly basis, like 50 euros, 125, 200 euros, or per once, for example, 500 euros or up to 250,000 euros, it doesn't matter. These companies are in different invest or built in different areas. For example, the car sector, everything has to do with eating and drinking, or chemicals or pharmaceuticals. I don't know if these companies are the best ones for the next 30, 40, 50 years, but I know people would drive cars in the future. If it's Volkswagen or Tesla, I don't know. But some company will build these cars and earn money with it. And people will eat. If it's in 50 years still McDonald's, I don't know. Or if it's another company, but people will eat and drink. And wouldn't it be nice to be invested in these companies and get money out of it if they earn money? So there's an investment company, and in Germany, every company in every investment company is under unter staatlicher Aufsicht. So the Germany as a state will look into the companies that they are doing what they have to do. And then, for example, you can invest in all these companies. It's Nestle, Procter & Gamble, Johnson & Johnson, Unilever, and these are like 1,000 other companies you invest in. If you look into the past, what was the difference between, for example, these are the last 200 years, the red line is stocks, Aktien, the blue one is Anleihen, which is bonds or festverzinsliche Wertpapiere in German. The black one is just the money market, and the gray line was gold, for example. So you see the difference between stocks and every other investment is huge and big. And even today, if you take a look into the mirror and invest, for example, in the MSCI World. MSCI World is the Morgan Stanley Capital International. It's roughly about 1,600 of the biggest companies in the world out of, I think, around about 25 countries, but a lot of companies from the United States and from Europe. What does this graphic say? If you go from 2005 till up to 2014, and at any point 35 years in the past, there were no possibility that you could earn less than 7% interest rate per year. And it's for about like all time spans. If you invest in a worldwide stock portfolio, there was no possibility that you had negative interest rates for short periods. It is always possible. For example, you see the little down dip at 2008. If you invested in stocks in 2008, for example, for 1 year, yeah, you had a big loss, for example, 50%. But would you have invested 35 years before 2008, you would still have 7% performance per year for the long time. So if you want to make more out of your money and don't want to let the inflation kill it in your bank account, you have to invest your money. And for the people who plan to spend the rest of their life in Germany, you can even invest in stocks and put some kind of insurance around it. For example, Riester or betriebliche Altersvorsorge. This is what I'm specialized for. It's a company retirement insurance. And then you have a lot of tax cuts, for example. But this will just be useful if you retire in Germany. If you want to invest your money for like 5 to 10 or 15 or 20 years and then leave Germany, it is not clever to put it into an insurance contract. Then it's more clever to invest directly in it. And if it is a managed portfolio or an ETF, a passive one, it depends on how you want to investment, how much risk do you want to go into it, for how long you want to invest it, and how much the money you invest is of your whole wealth, for example. Yeah, and then we come kind of the conclusion of everything. But first, I want to talk about the questions which you have, which you probably have.
Regarding the investment, actually, about the last part, I do not have such questions. But if somebody else has any question, they can directly speak and ask the question.
Hello. This is I also have one question regarding the investment, the active investment. When you said that we can invest into stock market in Germany. So is there any preferred tool or something, as in, like, you may have to create an account with or in order to invest, right? So how does it work? As in, I am aware of how it works in India. You have to create a demat account and then you have to go, then you can invest into your stocks. So how does it work? If you can briefly just touch upon it.
For example, if the most people or the most customers I have don't want to spend too much money with it. They want to invest and they say, Julian, take care of it, invest it for me. I don't want to look into it every day and plan, do I have to sell or I have to buy now or I have to sell or whatever. Then I advise them to a depot platform where you invest your money into one investment fund. And I can advise you which platform is the best for you, and then you can invest directly into these funds there. Was this your question, or?
I think
so partially yes. So I wanted to know, like, about these platforms that are available.
Yeah, there are so many platforms available in Germany, but I personally prefer to go with the Frankfurter Depot Bank and the eBase. These are, or the Augsburger Aktienbank, for example. These are the.
Sorry, can you please repeat the names again?
Yeah, eBase, EBASE. The second one is the Frankfurter Depot Bank.
Frankfurter Depot Bank.
Die Augsburger Aktienbank. These are the three which I mostly work with. And if you, for example, Google them and look into them, we have special conditions as a company because we have like 800,000 customers, and we get other conditions as if you go to them and say, hi, I want to invest some money there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
If you want to invest some money, I would happily discuss it with you personal. And if you say, okay, Julian, how you do it, I like it, I want to invest money with you, I would be happy. Yeah.
Cool. And then just one follow-up question to this. So the stocks that I want to invest it are chosen by me, or you do advice for that as well? Like,
I advise.
Okay. Okay.
But
thank you, Julian. Thank you. That answered.
It's a mix. You can say, for example, I want to invest in, I don't know, in gold, for example. Then I can advise you some good funds who invest in gold, for example, or in some mines who gets the best performance out of it if the gold price is rising.
A quick question on the platforms that you just mentioned. This is Sharan here. The eBase platform and the Frankfurter Augsburger platform that you mentioned, are they similar to a platform called eToro? I deal with eToro sometimes, but I'm not an expert. So I just want to understand if they are different or same, or how do you help us with it?
They are a bit different. Platforms like eToro or Trade Republic or don't know, there are a lot of more.
Yeah.
They are mainly for people who know what they are doing, right, and want to spend some time with them. Then you can buy, you can do some kind of stock picking. So you pick a company, for example, Volkswagen, and buy a stock of it. Correct. This is not what the normal customer of me is doing. Okay. So we are more investing in ETF or in managed funds where they don't have to spend a lot of time in it. But it's always kind of a mixture. So the base investment do most people do with me in some kind of ETF or managed funds where they have the most of their money, and they do like some kind of stock picking for fun and with some kind of play money in addition to that.
Okay. And do you like build a portfolio for us with this ETF? And when we put up the money, do we do it, monthly or yearly, or that is a choice that is open to us? How does it work?
It depends from your wishes and from what you want. So, so for example, we talk about what you want to do, what your risk, for example, is, and then I can tell you this is a portfolio I would suggest to you. Okay. And then we talk about it for example, every few months or every year or every 2 years. It depends on what you want to do with the money and how the market actually is. So, for example, at the Corona crisis, like 1 year ago, there was a lot more talking about everything than it was like 2 months later, where everything started to go up, where nothing,
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and additional questions?
Thank you for now.
If you don't have any further questions, I would.
Julian, one short question. One short question from Vivek Mishra: how the taxation is handled from profits or loss?
In Germany now you have to pay the Abgeltungssteuer, which is 25% of the winnings you have to pay in taxes. So for example, you invest 1,000 euros and 2 years later it is 2,000 euros. The 1,000 euro winning you have to tax with 25%. But there are some tax cuts. For example, you have a Freibetrag, which means the first 801 euros are tax-free of the winning you have. And yeah.
This logic, sorry, a question again, a follow-up one. The logic that you just applied is applicable only to stocks and trades, or is it applied to any of the investment that we make apart from what we earn?
Even if you would get some interest on your bank account, so you would have to tax your winnings with 25%, but now you don't get any interest, so you don't have to tax anything.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks.
Yeah. If there are no any further questions, I would close this presentation with another quote from Albert Einstein. I think every one of you knows him. And compound interest is the eighth wonder of the world. He who understands it earns it. He who doesn't pays it. So if you get the compound interest is in Germany, it's Zinseszins effect. So for a long time, if you get higher interest, it has a really big impact on your wealth. And if you want to discuss any of these topics, for example, insurances, or if you want to invest some money, you can book appointment online on www.terminmitjulian.de. Yeah, and we can discuss things. Or if you want to check your insurances, you say like, I have 3 or 5, 6 different insurances. Maybe we can do them a bit cheaper. And you can ask, for example, Bagul, also who worked with me, and I hope he will say that I'm very good and I can make them better. Yeah. But in addition to that, I would like you, if you want to book an appointment with me, book it like 2 weeks in the future, because the next 2 weeks I will not can work a lot. Yeah. So if you want to book an appointment, book it like 2 weeks in the future. The next 2 weeks I will not have a lot of time for it. And if there aren't any further, no, my mouse is broken. Any further questions? I would say, I don't know how to pronounce it, but I googled it. It probably means like,
we got it.
See you again. Yeah.
That was very nice information from you, Julian. Thank you very much for that. And regarding, Vivek asked about how we will get the follow-up question answers. I think we will send the email to everyone, because everyone would like to know about the questions. When Julian find out the answer, we will just send via emails all the answers and also the contact from Julian. So you can book the appointment with Julian and talk about the insurances which you would like to take. And now I would like to hand over to Omkar and Counter.
Nothing to add from my side as well. You actually did a very good job, Julian. You actually explain these insurances in a very easy way that people do understand. And the investment part is mostly something which I like, because being here and when we wanted to go back to India, then investment is one of our choice should be, rather than having insurance. So that's a good takeaway I will have from this meeting. So thanks a lot. And then me personally looking forward for a meeting with you after 2 weeks.
Okay, nice. Then I wish you all a good weekend. And I hope I see you in the near future.
Yes. Thank you so much. Yeah.
Thank you, everyone.
You're welcome.
Yep. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye. गौरव, कॉन्टॅक्ट हे कर ना सगळे आपले ईमेल आयडी वगैरे असतील ना, तर कॉपी करून